Hello, you beautiful people. Today it's chemical reaction engineering again, and in the middle of March, due to the closing down of the HAW, I prepared some slides about the coronavirus and how it can be modeled with some tools of chemical reaction engineering. And today I just want to give you a short update about this, how the simulation can predict the future. Okay, let's start with some data sources, and then I explained to you last time how to model the coronavirus as a chemical reaction. So basically it was like an autocatalytic reaction with a consecutive reaction. This means that people after 2 weeks in the middle, on average, that after 2 weeks they will become a so-called closed case, so they are not sick anymore and they cannot affect other people. So this was autocatalytic with consecutive reaction. I will have a look at the model or the model data from March 18th. So it's a little bit more than a month ago, and then let's have a look at Outlook for the corona cases. And then I don't know if you heard about it in the news. There's always the experts are talking about we need 70% of the people have to be immune, and then we have something called herd immunity. So then if the virus is spreading around, it will not increase, but it will vanish on its own. Again, I just want to note here, I'm not a physician and I'm just playing around with chemical reactions. So this is not a proper prediction of the future. I'm just modeling two chemical reactions and then see if it can predict the coronavirus. Okay, what are my data sources? If you are interested in global data, then I go to Worldometers. There you can see that I think it was data from this morning. So from what date do we have? 23rd of April, so 1.7 million active cases. And for Germany, I have a look at the homepage from the Morgenpost. There it is said that we have like 150,000 cases in Germany. I look at the site. There we have a number of 151,000 cases. And the official numbers are from the Robert Koch Institute. I take them from the Wikipedia homepage. And for the 22nd of April, it's a number of 145,000 corona cases. So this is the data that I'm using here. And then in the last lecture, in lecture 3, I just showed you how you can model this. Okay, you have the healthy people. Healthy people can become corona cases. So corona means C. Then they can also infect other people. And after a while, they can become closed cases. So this is, for autocatalytic, I would call this a net reaction. And yeah, then the reaction rate, this can be predicted or can be calculated by the constant rate, by the number of corona cases, and by the number of healthy people. So this means your reaction rate is high if you have a lot of people running around with corona inside, and if you have a lot of people that are healthy, that can become sick people. So if you have no healthy people anymore, then your reaction rate is 0. If you have no corona cases anymore, then your reaction rate is 0. And for the normal condition, so normal condition here means that the normal life that we had before the pandemic, so with football, with full football stadiums, with restaurants open, with sitting around in beer gardens and so on, there you had a rate constant of 3.33 times 10 to the power of -9. Okay, this is just fitting of data. And then I had another parameter. It was the incubation period. I chose this to be 14 days. This means if you change something in the system, then your incubation, or then it means that it takes up to 14 days that you see the effect on your corona cases. Okay, and then another figure is here that the closed cases, that are the corona cases from 14 days ago. Okay, this is just a very short overview. If you are more interested in this, then you can have a look again at lecture 3, where I explained the model a little bit more in detail. So, and for me, this is quite interesting, because with such a simple model, you can try to fit the data that you find in media. And so for me, it's very helpful just to understand better what's going around. So I like to play around a little bit with the numbers here and to understand better what's going on out there. Of course, you can just listen to real experts and then it's fine. But I think with this, it's very easy to program. You can make your own corona simulation with this. Okay, then let's have a look. So we started with the exponential growth. This is the first phase, where you have this just exponential growth with the constant reaction rate. So this is simulated with a value here of 3.33 times 10 to the power of minus 9. And yeah, here is the simulation data. And then you can see from various sources, from the Robert Koch Institute, from the Morgenpost, from the Zeit, you can see that basically they are fitting the data quite well up to day 33 maybe. And then you can see that some things are changes. So here I stressed out the 13th of March. This was the day where it was announced that schools will be closed and so on. So this is the Friday, and on Monday we had the closing of schools, and then afterwards we had the other things, that shops will be closed and restaurants will be closed and so on. Okay, so for this you can see that up to day 33 exponential growth is fitting quite well. And then I made, in the last presentation, I made some assumptions. I just said, okay, what will happen when you lock down everything? Then I assumed, okay, my new reaction rate will go down to 10%. So this means your reaction rate is not 3.3 times 10 to the power of minus 9, but instead is 10 to the power of minus 10. So I assumed a really strong decrease here in the reaction rate, and I assumed incubation of 14 days. So this means here was the announcement of the lockdown, and here you should see the first effects, and you can see that the agreement is not that good. But as I said, it was just a guess that I said, okay, let's bring this down to 10%. You can also have a look at the daily new cases. So this is just the slope of this curve here. And if you have a look at this, then you can see that I over-assumed the exponential growth, that I thought this would be there for longer, and I underestimated the reaction rate for this. So still today we have much more cases than I assumed here with this rate constant of 10%. Okay, but so it's a model, then we can easily adopt the things that we have here. And what do I have to do? I just have to change two parameters. I'm setting the new reaction rate to 19%. So 19% of this 3.3 times 10 to the power of minus 9. So it's not 10%, but it's 19%. And I changed here my incubation period to 13 days. So now you can see it's written here plus 13 days. And then you can see that my cases here from the various sources, they are now fitting quite well to the simulation here. What else have we got here? We have from the Morgenpost, I took the closed cases. This is the black ones, but this is not measured, so it's not that a doctor says, okay, now you are healthy again, now you are healed. but this is just also a guess. And the green ones, these are the active cases. So this is the number of people that are still having the coronavirus. So it's about like 40,000 cases that we have right now here. So this is the difference between the total number of cases and the closed cases. These are the people relevant for infecting others. Okay. So from my perspective, not that bad. You just have to. Was just a minor change. It was 13 days instead of 14 days, and here it's not 10% as I hoped, but it's 19%. So we just brought down the rate constant by factor 5. And if you then look at the daily new cases, then you can see that the agreement right now is quite good, I would say. At least here in this range, and then you can question about the number of cases. You always see here the weekends and the Easter days and so on, but I think if you look at the scatter of the data, the prediction here is not that bad. So I would say it's a good agreement between data and simulation. Okay, this means we still improved our model. So we started just with a model for the exponential growth, and now we found out, okay, we can adopt the second phase. This is working also quite well, and then we can go for the next step. So right now we have a strong discussion about the exit strategy for the lockdown, and what we have so far is that shops will open up or opened up already from last Monday. There will be a stepwise opening of schools from May 14th, and so everything is a little bit in exit mode. And what I did here is for the simulation, I said, okay, I need a new reaction rate, and I called it May for the next month to come. And I just said, okay, this new rate constant will be active from Friday, April 24th on, so tomorrow maybe. And then this would mean that we will model a lockdown of 6 weeks, and with this incubation period and so on, then we will say, okay, from day 80 on, there will be some first observation in the measured data that we get from the Robert Koch Institute or what so on. And yes, so what is the big unknown? This is the new reaction or the new rate constant for the month May. And what we can see very easily is that it will be something between the value for normal life and the value for lockdown. So we will increase the rate constant, but hopefully it will be a lot below the normal life rate constant. So, and for this, if you want to have a proper figure for this, then you need the expertise of really skilled epidemic specialists, and this is not me. So I'm just playing around with numbers here. I'm saying, okay, the reaction rate is going up from 90%, it's going up to 35%, or the other case would be it's going up to 50%. And let's have a look what this would mean to our figures. Okay, if we start with the moderate reaction rate, so the reaction rate of 35%, we still keep the incubation period at 13 days. Then the numbers will look like this. So here, this is, it's not really day 80, it's about day 80. Sorry, there was a little mistake on the previous slide. Then you can see that if you loosen the lockdown right now, then in about 2 weeks, you will see that your number is increasing again, and that also your number of active cases will increase a little bit again. And then if you look here at the predicted daily new cases, then you could say, okay, maybe at June 9th, so day 110 is June 9th, you could end up with about 6,000 cases a day, new cases a day again. So like we had here in the meantime. Okay, 6,000 cases a day is quite a lot, but I think this is somehow manageable. So for reaction rate of 35%, I think this is still this is not too fast, so that you can still react on it. If you then have a look at the reduction of only 50%, so the reaction rate, the rate constant in May will be about 50% of the rate constant of normal life, then the situation looks a little bit worrying, I would say. You can see here that your number of cases are increasing quite fast, and also your number of active cases is increasing quite fast, and then you can easily end up with more than some 100,000 cases. If you then look at the daily new cases, then you can see that you will have a strong increase. So from my point of view, this is a little bit worrying. So this would mean if we end up very fast with like 10,000 new cases a day, then this might become a little bit tricky for our hospitals. So what can we say? So I think it's quite obvious that if you say, okay, an exit strategy will lead to a higher reaction rate, and somehow it will be somewhere between the new one. So this was 19%, and it will be somewhere between the normal one, the 100%. So this 3.33 times 10 to the power of -9, and yeah. So it's really important that you don't overstress it. So you saw that 35% everything could become fine. If you choose 50%, then it's getting difficult. And I think there's a high risk of the wrong exit strategy. If you are loosening too much, then you can have a very fast increase in daily new cases again, and then you have problems with hospitals and so on. But if you are too scared, and if you lose the measures here not fast enough, then you will have a strong economic damage. So yes, and what I just want to show you is that it's very tricky to play around with exponential growth. So if you end up here with this rate of 50%, then you can easily end up here, and then it's not that easy to control it again, because it takes like 14 days for the measures to become active or to become measurable. And the other positive thing is that maybe or hopefully this simulation is total crap, because I don't know what I'm doing, and maybe we are lucky and everything will be fine by summer. So this could be one way of positive thinking. Basically, you can choose what you want. Okay, then I just want to show you a long-term outlook with this moderate rate constant. So if we choose this value here to be 35%, then you could see that at day 250 or so, this would be end of October. If I counted correctly, this would be a peak of like 5 to 6 million active cases. So it's not really dramatic. It sounds like a lot, but I would say it's still a long way, and I won't trust it too much. So if the specialists will see, okay, we are the numbers are increasing quite fast, then we can take active measures to make sure that it will go down. So I'm not expecting this. If we are running in a situation like this, I think there will be at day 150 or so on, there will be some measures will be taken. Okay, then maybe some comments on herd immunity. also what I'm just trying to get from my simulation model. Maybe you heard about the rate of 70% of the people that we need for herd immunity. And this can be achieved by vaccines or by closed cases. So this means whether we need to find a proper medicine. So everyone in medicine right now is investigating in vaccines. Or you have to be infected with corona, and then afterwards you are hopefully immune. So this means, yeah, one or the other would help to get to become immune. And the question is, can this also be explained by this simple model? So if you remember, we have this reaction rate here, we have the rate constant for our normal life, then we have the number of corona cases, and we have the number of healthy people that can get infected. And yes, so what does it mean? So we basically, if we want to have our normal life back, then this K norm, the rate constant for our normal life, shouldn't be changed at all. So one day in future we want to go back to football stadiums, we want to go back to restaurants, we want to go back to, I don't know, maybe vacation, holidays, whatever. And this means we want to have our normal rate of contacts, so this means this shouldn't be unchanged. And okay, so we know this, and we also know that, yes, we know the number of inhabitants of Germany. So this is potentially, these are the numbers of people that can become affected. But what is special about this situation is that infected people will become a closed case after 14 days. So this means if, for example, we start with 400 people that are having the coronavirus, this means, they can infect with this formula here. You can see, that people, or that the corona cases, maybe the 400 ones, they can infect other people with the rate of this here. So you have your rate constant, you have the 400 people, and you have all the inhabitants of Germany. And they can do this for a duration of 14 days. Okay, but after 14 days, they are a closed case, and this means that if you say, my reaction rate here times 14 days, so the number of people that these 400 people are infecting in 14 days, if you divide this by the starting number, then this value here should be below 1. So this means you start with 400 people, and then you calculate how many people they infect per day, then you divide it by 14 days. And if you then have a number here, if these 400 people have in this 14 days infected only 390 other people, then your reproduction number is below 1, and this is what we want. So you start with some figure here as the starting corona cases, and then you have to make sure that in these 14 days they are infecting less people than they are in the beginning. So this is just my definition of a simple reproduction number, what I found suitable here for this kind of chemical reaction. And then we just have to do some math. Okay, number of inhabitants of Germany. So healthy people, 83 million people. Then we say, we need the correction factor for the people that are not immune. So if we say here in Germany we have 83 million people, and we want to know how many people have to be immune so that they are not getting affected. That is the people that still can become the coronavirus is 1 minus this immune factor, or this correction factor. And then we can rewrite our equation. So this value here we know the 83 million people, we know this correction factor, 1 minus x immune, and the 14 days, and this has to be below 1. And then it's just some algebra. You can put in the numbers here, and then you can see that you will end up with a factor for the immune people of 74%. And if you say, okay, this is just guessing here what I did, so then you could say, okay, we need approximately 70% what you find here in what you hear in the news. And I think this is quite interesting that this very simple model of chemical reaction engineering can also give an estimation for the needed value for herd immunity. So basically, if 70% of the people got the coronavirus or got the proper vaccine, then you are safe. And if there somewhere is an outbreak of the coronavirus, then it will not spread all over the place. Okay. Maybe as a reminder, some conclusions. This is not a proper medical simulation on the pandemic, but what I did here is just to show you some results for chemical reaction kinetics, and I hope that this might show a similar behavior. There are a lot of effects that were neglected. So there's an effect of unrecorded cases, so maybe there are much more cases out there that we already identified. We don't know about the temperature effects, winter, summer. People are not perfectly mixed as assumed for reactions. Then the coronavirus might modify, and I didn't do a proper literature review on pandemic simulations, but I just showed you how I would treat the coronavirus as a chemical reaction. And yeah, what I can say is that at least for me it's interesting to understand better what's going on out there. Okay, thanks for listening, and also thanks to Mr. Pawelczyk who sent me this beautiful picture. Okay, goodbye.